Kelly from Cards by Christine here with you live on a Friday. Okay, so this is a story. Yesterday, I was out. We went to a light show in Milwaukee with my cousin whose birthday was yesterday. And all of a sudden I got a message from, I want to say it was Anna. I can't remember. And she's like, oh, Chris was just wondering if you had your Technique Thursday and we're going to upload it maybe tomorrow. I know your internet's down because we had some crazy wind. So honestly, it was horrible. But here we go. Okay, so I found the live. To be honest with you, I thought today was Thursday, except for today is Friday. So my husband has off today, so I was planning on coming in today to film and like, yeah, no. That was Thursday yesterday. So here I am, delinquent. So no one knows that I was intending to go live. So I don't know if I'll even have any live viewers or not on this Friday, nearly end of the work day. But if you do happen to hop on and catch me, say hi, and I think you'll enjoy this technique. So we're about a week out from Christmas. And what we're going to be making is some tags, and the technique is called straight to paper embossing. And I actually am casing, hi Linda, I'm casing something I saw from Sarah Douglas, who is the Stampin' Up! CEO, and I saw it and I wanted to recreate it, and it's so easy and beautiful. Why, hello, we do have live viewers, this is amazing. Hello, Diane, Patricia, Linda, Donna. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Ramona. So, let me flip her down and show you what we're going to be doing. I just need to kind of sort them around a little bit. And you'll see, these are the tags. Oh, they're not the easiest to see on this background. I love this tabletop that she's got, but it is kind of hard on some of the colors. Hi, Marcia and Linda. Thank you for sharing, Patricia. We appreciate everyone who shares. Hello, Melissa. And that helps us grow our community. So these are the tags. These are very similar to what Sarah had done, and then I wanted to kind of take my own spin on it too, and I made a basic white with silver and cherry cobbler for a little bit more of the traditional colors. So yeah, these are the tags, and the technique here is the embossing on the bottom, and it really elevates the look of these tags by putting that metallic embossing powder on there. So anyone who's been following Chris for a while may know that embossing is actually what got her hook, line, and sinker on stamping. So every once in a while, it was a technique, embossing in general was a technique that kind of fell to the wayside for a while and came back, and I'm so glad it is back because I do love embossing. It really adds a great texture and detail to projects. So yeah, Linda, I was just, I don't know, we've been very, very crazy at work, and I'm about to take a bunch of days off. So I have to work the next 2 Mondays, I think, are the only days that I'm working for the next 2 weeks. So I'm gonna get a little bit of a break. So maybe I'll get my head on straight, but then the thing is, you never know what day it is during the holidays either, so there's probably more of that in my future. Okay, so those are the tags. Now we're going to make 4 more tags, just the opposite colors, I figured is how we would do this. Oh no! Okay, so we might be making 3 tags. Okay, I did have 4. But you know how that goes, so maybe we're making 3. Well, oops. Okay, so the tags are tailor-made tags dies, and I used the 2 largest of the like ticket tag size and shape, and then they have this die that cuts out the little tag topper. So I cut them out in crumb cake and basic white, and then the tag toppers I cut out in cherry cobbler and basic black. Then we are going to stamp from Christmas to Remember. So now this Christmas to Remember stamp set comes with beautiful, coordinates with beautiful dies, but the set itself is just text. So I picked out a couple of different ones. So Have a Holly Jolly Christmas we'll do on this one. The Friends Like You Make the Season Sparkle, a special, we'll do on this one. And then Love and Joy Come to You and May It Last the Whole Year Through, we'll do on that one. And then the tag that I don't have another one of was May This Be a Christmas to Remember and Cherish. So we're just gonna not have another one of that. So then I took, let's see here, on the crumb cake I stamped in Memento, which is Tuxedo Black. And then just kind of based on where I'm going to put the embossing powder, I kept it more aligned to the right and made it as straight as possible, which is not all that straight. Hello, Maria and Sherry. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, so then in the end, I'll clean this, but for the time being, I'm just going to move on to the red and Have a Holly Jolly Christmas. And again, I'm going to justify this one over to the right. You can see that one's probably a bit crooked. Hello, Chris. Thank you for joining. All right, then this one I stamped up and down. I do think you could do this one sideways as well, but I liked the up and down tag. And then I just put the embossing powder on the bottom. This one's my favorite. So, all right, let's put that in there. Okay, now we're done stamping. So I'll move some of these supplies out of my way. And I'm going to clean up my stamps after the video. You guys don't need to waste your time with that. All right, then on to the technique. So what we're gonna do is take a piece of scrap paper and take our Versamark. Now, if you've never heat embossed before, you need something to make the embossing powder stick to. So a lot of times you would use Versamark, you could use other things that are adhesive, but what you're going to do is melt these metallic, not pigments, but powders, and then they basically melt and make this shiny substance on your project. So Versamark is the ideal thing to use for that. And normally what you do is take your stamp into this as your ink source, and then when you stamp, it's got this sticky area for your embossing powder to stick to. But this technique is called direct to paper stamping or embossing. So you're going to take your Versamark directly onto your paper. So now you're going to stamp it essentially in the location that you want it to stick. So I've got it, let us see here. You'll get a little sheen there. So that is where your embossing powder is going to stick. And I'm going to do these all at once. This one on the gold version, I got too close to the words, but well, that is just how that one was going to be. And then the Love and Joy, go ahead and stamp that down as well. And I can see there I didn't get it evenly on this back corner, so I'm going to just come in and put a little bit more on there. Okay, so close up your Versamark and move these supplies out of our way, and then bring in your embossing powders. So now on the red and white, I'm using silver. So go ahead and just pour on your embossing powder, and I usually just flick off anything that's excess, because if it's stuck in a place that you don't want it to be, oh, it's going to, like if you've got some up in your letters there, it's gonna stay there. I just want a little more on the bottom. Okay, so silver. We'll do another silver in here. Okay, just want a little more in the corner. Okay, and then on, that one doesn't have a lid. That's dangerous. Okay, then we've got the Love and Joy, which I am going to use gold. And same, you just drizzle it over the top and shake off the excess. And then cleanup is a very important step to this process. So Chris stores her embossing powders in a Rubbermaid, which is so smart. And she's got these nice little scoops. You don't need to do this every time, but you definitely want to make sure that before you turn on your heat gun, you have all of your excess embossing powder accounted for. So either put back in its container or sealed up or out of reach of the heat gun, because you can get a disastrous mess if you've got these metallic pigments flying all over your crafting space, or even, you know, if you've got some left on your workspace, it'll melt onto your workspace. So definitely just want to keep all of your embossing powder accounted for. So then you bring in your heat embossing gun. And what you want to do is turn it on before you bring it over to your project and let it warm up. It takes seconds, like it goes super fast. And then start to heat, and you'll watch the embossing powder melt in front of your eyes. So you'll know when it's done, because it'll go from this, let's see here, it'll go from this like powdery dull shade to a bright metallic. So you'll know once you've finished, but you just want to be sure. And I can feel it's warm already. Stampin' Up's embossing gun is fantastic. You don't want to overheat it. You won't necessarily run the risk of too much damage at first, but the longer you heat it, I mean, it's paper and heat gun. So like you could burn your fingers, you could burn your paper, you could burn your project, and you'll see here that that is done already. And I'll bring it up to the camera. So I didn't do the best job of getting that all off, because you can see there's a couple metallic flecks on the stamped word. Not a big deal. It's beautiful. It's not like it's going to hurt anything, but that's why you want to get your embossing powder as much off of your project as possible in the places that you don't necessarily want it. Yeah, Maria, it's such an easy technique, and you know, it really elevates your gift giving when you put a beautiful tag on it. So I love it. And honestly, these tags are very, very pretty and make for great gift tags. However, you could very easily use this as a focal image on the front of any of your cards too. So keep that in mind if you like this technique. And there's a lot of different ways that you could do this as well. It absolutely does not need to be for gift tags, but that is what Sarah Douglas inspired me with, and that's what we're doing. Okay, so then I have these tag toppers, and I'm going to take, it's a little bit of an experiment. I don't know how well liquid glue is going to adhere to the, hello Mary Ellen, how well it's going to adhere to the embossed, because it's kind of a smooth, shiny surface. So I don't know if it's going to stick very well or not, but what is going to reinforce it, even if it doesn't stick great, is the twine that we're using to hang the tag from. So I figured you know, if it's not the best, it at least will stay on with that twine. So, just like I lost my tag, now I haven't lost. Oh, there they are, my cherry cobbler tag toppers. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and put some liquid glue on here. Get these stuck. And then Chris is gonna have a set of 7, 7 tags because I can't find the 8th one. Okay. So what color scheme do you like better? Do you like the white, silver, and cherry cobbler? Or do you like the crumb cake, black, and gold? I think this would be beautiful. Should have thought of this earlier. As either navy or maybe even like Pacific Point with white and silver. That would be gorgeous. But that is not what I have. That's okay. I like it with the red too. Ooh, or this, man. Shaded spruce would look really cool, maybe on this white and silver as well. White, okay. I think of what is sitting in front of me, I think I prefer the crumb cake gold and black. I do like them both, do not get me wrong. But I think that one jumps out at me more. It's both of them are very classy looking, and I think that has to do with the metallic from the embossing powder. Hi, Dawn. Okay, so then you just take your ribbon scissors and trim the tails down. And obviously, if you were putting this on a gift, you might be using your ribbon to actually adhere it, or not adhere it, but kind of like hang it from your gift. So right now, the ribbon is purely decorative. So let's see here. White, we are liking the white. Okay, so right now, according to the people online, I am in the minority. Okay, so we're gonna put this last twine on. And then we've got our tags. Okay, so an incomplete set of the gold and crumb cake, and then we've got a complete set. I think there were a couple more stamps, and you could use any sentiment, any set of stamps. You could make a lot of different sentiments fit on these tags, so really cool. I love it. All right, so what do you guys think of my tags, and has it inspired you? Please, if you do create anything, either tags or anything using this video, embossing techniques or the like, leave some comments in the comments of this video. I'd love to check back and see it. I can't remember if it was last week or the week before when I did the patchwork quilt technique. I saw a couple people shared some pictures of that. So I love when I see that you guys are enjoying what we've made and letting it inspire you to create beautiful things yourself. You're welcome, Marcia. Love the tags. I'm so glad to hear that, Linda. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Technique Thursday, Friday. It's Friday! Yay! So I will catch you guys next week with another technique, and I'm very excited about that one, so stay tuned.